Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Wrestling Superstars of Wrestling Review series, which returns here a little bit. We haven't had one of these in a little while. We got about 3 or 4 more that we can go through here, with over 250 or so of them in total. 240, 250, somewhere in there. Not a bad run for the wonder that is this particular series here, especially when you look at things as they are. Obviously, wrestling is a much different world than it was back when wrestling was actually worth watching on a decent basis or a daily basis with regular characters. We've got the 1987 September 12th edition here. Nikolai Volkov and Bam Bam Bigelow kicks us off. It's just interesting there. We get kind of a Ron Bigelow at the time kind of still being treated like he could be something, and there's a decent amount of enhancement talent versus, I guess you'd say, regular talent or whatever here. Bigelow and Volkov, an interesting match, just because Volkov had been pushed at the time. Bigelow coming in and still part of the Survivor Series in '87 team, the first Survivor Series. Bigelow punching his way through, and Volkov taking a nice big bump for him over the top and to the floor, and ultimately Bigelow encouraging Volkov to get back into the ring. Pretty basic. And then a diving headbutt by the charge of Oliver Humperdinck. I guess they were trying a babyface manager thing. It didn't really work out. Maybe going for an Arnold Skull-like feel, diving headbutt and a clothesline. Slick becoming agitated at ringside and is willing to do what he can where he can to try and distract things. This is, I guess, the September sweeps. Roll through and a leaping headbutt by Bigelow. Bigelow getting the victory here on this particular Superstars edition. Then there is a $1 Million Man vignette. Basically, he does a podium style interview, takes the microphone from Craig to George. After George interviews him, brings a child out and offers him $300 for 10 push-ups, and that doesn't go according to plan. Coco wearing the Rougeau brothers against Billy Anderson, Leroy Mellon, and Rudy Ryder in a 6-man tag team match. DiBiase, by the way, in that vignette is phenomenal. Basically saying if you don't do the job, you don't get paid. Rougeau brothers still baby faces here in this particular run. And ultimately, some hard shots tag off to another of the enhancement talents. Coco Ware still riding high on the pile driver release. Not a bad deal. Dropkick under the chin by Coco. And Coco manages to hit a super run there and back elbow by the Rougeau brothers. Coco hits the gourd buster and a win. Upcoming match at the Boston Garden. Hulk Hogan basically bragging about the way he's going to deal with the nefarious Killer Khan. Pretty basic interview there. Hogan basically saying he's going to put Khan down once and for all. Bobby Heenan is on the current edition of the WWF magazine. Rick Rude against Jerry Monty. Rude's one of his first matches. Punches and kicks by Rude. Rude short changes his man and hits the Rude Awakening. During the early stages here, Honky Tonk Man and Steve Gator Wolf up next. Honky Tonk Man still your Intercontinental Champion, and continuing that well into 1988 here. Punches and short shots by the Honky Tonk Man. Jimmy Hart, of course, presenting Honky, and they Tease later in the program a foray towards the developing feud between Honky Tonk Man and none other than the Macho Man Randy Savage. Leaping clothesline followed by the shake, rattle, and roll, and Honky is in successful control. CV Offie against Butch Reed. Butch Reed coming in just around this time and doesn't really do a heck of a lot. Leaves by early in 1988, although is part of WrestleMania 4, and complains to the referee about potential cheating from Offie. Offie hits a couple of chops along the way, nothing to write home about, but a big power move by none other than Butch Reed leads to a victory there. Superstar Billy Graham, the highlights of the update with Craig DeGeorge, and Billy Graham back, although removed from the Survivor Series 2 months later, 2.5 months later, because of his inability and immobility. Tito Santana and Rick Martel, otherwise now known as Strike Force, going to strike some force into the nature that is Tito Santana and Rick Martel beating the Shadows. Martel is able to do a drop down, and we see a decent flying forearm from Santana, gets a victory for them. Then we go to Mr. Fuji with Killer Khan, promising to see to the torture of Hulk Hogan coming up at the Boston Garden in a little bit. And that'll be where we close for the day. We'll be back with more right after this.